would like to introduce now Benjamin Quesada, who works at the Universidad Rosario in Colombia, and who will tell us a little bit more about his work on evaluation, monitoring, and research, mostly. Benjamin.
Thank you.
The big red button.
Okay.
Green button.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. I'm part of the ALEC project. I'm a researcher. I'm a climatologist. And I'm also professor. I'm teacher. And I'm director of the new Earth System Science program, a new bachelor that is unique in Latin America. So in ALEC, actually, I am a small complementary part of the puzzle. They are the practitioners, so the people who knows exactly where they are going. And here, what we established there is some research lines to maybe guide, because in Colombia, we lack some baselines of what we teach to the kids at the current level, like what are in the books, for instance, what do the teachers know about climate change, etc. Okay, so I will show you. Oh, it's masking. Oh my God, there are no animations. Oops. Okay. Yeah, because there is text. Okay. Anyway, I will manage. So actually, behind that. We are based on 3 research inputs. Okay, so we managed 2 surveys, one on teachers and one on young people. Okay, so we made surveys of more than 1,000 teachers about their perception and knowledge on climate change. And we made more or less the same with young people, so 2,000 young people throughout the countries in Colombia. And a third one, so I sent a student to make some field work in libraries to look at textbooks, okay, school books of natural sciences, to check every school book and look at climate change contents. And finally, IFD, who was present this morning, funds us as a spin-off of this project to review at systematic level the effects of climate change education on the cognition, the knowledge, the attitude, the behavior of worldwide school children and their entourage, so parents and teachers as well. Okay, so there is no animation, but I will detail you. So we organized in the framework of ALEC the first national seminar on education for climate change. Fondo Action was present, STEM Academia, and the partners of ALEC in France. And so it was last year, so that's one of the pieces we wanted to make to build this community of practices on climate change and make some networks. So research is a small part in that as well. Okay, so we presented as well, because when we look at the climate change education research in Colombia, there is almost none. So we really want to bring more researchers, more professors at university levels on that topic as well. So that was the occasion in the 3rd International Congress on Environmental Research. We also made some policy brief, so we work in the framework of this systematic review with a very innovative consortium, because we have psychologists, for instance, we have humanities, and I'm the small part as well on the climatology aspect. So we made some policy brief for the ministry. So we have something in Colombia called DNP that manages a bit the directive, like the lines for several ministries. So our idea is that every ministry could have climate change consideration or accounting in their policies. And so we gave some policy brief about that and some meetings with Ministry of Environment. So we made some material for teachers. Here it's me, but it was all led by STEM Academia. that made this very good series on detectives on climate change. And so that's the first input. So tomorrow, for the luckiest, I will show more results about that. It's just to let you know what can be done, and in the particular case of Colombia. So here, that's a survey we made on perception and knowledge of Colombian teachers in the face of climate change. And for instance, in the case of Colombia, climate skepticism almost do not exist. That's not a big challenge. So we can focus on education directly and solution with the students and teacher. And actually, 75% of the teachers actually teach climate change in their classroom. And for instance, we obtain those kind of results, but that's generalized in the population. The teachers tend to underestimate the scientific consensus on climate change. They think that less than 50% or 50% of the scientists say that climate change is anthropogenic, which is obviously much more than that. We also had this survey, so we had 100 students making this survey throughout the country. And the idea was every 6 months to have a thermometer of the perception of the students. So that's not only on climate change, it's how they feel, what they want. So of course they have eco-anxiety, but that's not the big picture. They have job anxiety, they have life anxiety. So that's part of a much bigger problem. And actually in Colombia, if you test, that's the 3rd happiest country in the world. Okay, but when you talk about climate change, what they feel is sadness and temeroso. I don't remember. Scared. Yeah, exactly. Another thing that is quite interesting and is very particular of the case of Colombia is when you ask what are the following categories or actors are acting in pro of climate change or against climate change. So the 3 categories that are more reliable and more concerned by climate change, according to the young people, is environmental leaders. Second is scientists. And third one is farmers. Okay, so that's very interesting of a people seeing himself as very territory-oriented, and with a base of science in which they believe, okay? If we see, for instance, politicians, okay, they are at the same level as armed illegal groups, okay, in terms of trust for their actions against climate change, okay? And of course, climate change makes me think that future is frightening is the best answer, like the most answered sentence. New generations have less opportunities than their fathers, and things that have value have been destroyed. So quite a fatalist point of view on that. And the third one, the third research inputs we made, we wanted to have a baseline of what is taught to our kids in school books. So we analyzed 41 school books in natural sciences. That's actually a lot for one student. So I acknowledge her today. It's Diana Bonilla. And so we are publishing this paper at the moment. It was accepted. So I will give you some results because it's really interesting. I really invite all the people here, if they have the occasion, as a humble recommendation, to make that in their country. We need to know, as a practitioner, but also scientists, to know what is the current baseline of the climate change contents. So if you look, for instance, at the number of words, I mean, the number of climate change content in school books in Colombia, it has been diminishing, okay? So we have more or less 15 to 20 sentences on climate change in natural science school books. So that's quite few, you will tell, but that's the average because we made a review of all the people that did this kind of study. and they have only 1 page on average, 2, 3 pages, depends on the study. In the United States, that's quite well studied, this aspect. But I can tell you that only 10 countries in the world have made this study properly of analyzing climate change content in school books. And see there, this is a mix of different natural science school books in Colombian natural science school books. Yeah, sorry. So here you will see some problems. I mean, it can be accurate, okay, but it's absolutely not nationally based. Okay, so you don't, so there are no polar bears in Colombia. So here you have the average global temperature, for instance, which is okay, even if we can discuss the blue lines, we don't know what is it. Okay, so we can analyze that from different perspectives, but at least, yeah, sorry? Yes. Yes. No. We open to global warming, climatic warming. Yeah. We tested that. Yeah. It's not only all together. It's that. Yeah. But good question. Yes. So yeah, it's decreasing the climate change content. It's non-national, and yeah, it's not personally relevant for the student, which is a big topic. Okay, so it's all no animation. I will specifically talk about that tomorrow in VRSO, but this is a spin-off, but it's also the kind of synergies we can obtain from the ALEC project. Okay, so AFD, because of our contribution to ALEC, funded us to make this systematic review. So we analyzed 15,000 records of what has been published throughout the world. Basically, what we can summarize at the moment, but that's currently been done, it has been increasing. There has been some opportunistic also aspect of looking at climate change education. Before it was education for sustainable development. Sometimes they stick to the climate change education term, but actually it's not so climate change oriented, so this kind of biased. So it's only based on knowledge, so we have some pre-post tests of sessions of 1 month of climate change in the best case, and we analyze whether the people, the students have been learning. So of course they have been learning. If you give anything to an audience after 1 month, they will have a slightly increase of knowledge. But the thing is that we don't have long-term assessment. We don't know if they change their habits, if they have a psychological accounting of the problem on the long term. So those kind of bias are very present in the literature at the moment. Okay, so you will trust me because the figures are not very visible. But this is one of the key results we have throughout the 3 research inputs, both on teachers, youth, and school books. For instance, when we ask about the causes of climate change, in Colombia, 99% of the people say climate change is happening, etc., and mostly anthropogenic. But the thing is that they don't, they don't know exactly what is the cause. Okay, so the leading cause is fossil fuels burning, but in Colombia they say it's deforestation, and it's present amongst the teachers. Okay. Amongst the school books, okay, so school books are not clearly saying that the predominant factor of climate change is burning fossil fuels. And you can see there for the young people, they also say that it's deforestation, okay? So we mostly know why it's happening, because in Colombia, deforestation trends are very high. They contribute to global warming, but there is sort of misconception about what is the leading cause. So that's an example of vicious circle where actually teachers do not receive some accurate formation or capacity building on climate change. The school books are not updated and have very few climate change contents. And finally, of course, the students are repeating or do not know exactly what is happening. Okay, so in the framework of ALEC, what we plan to do in the short term is a seminar, like a conference of 200 teachers in Colombia who will share their practical experience of giving some climate change courses, of giving some climate change practical activities. Okay, we very believe in that, in sharing what people is doing after receiving a climate change course. That's a small piece, but this appropriation is very important. So we want people to share their experience. And I knew that this morning there was some funders, so if you want to assess the climate change contents in France, because it has not been done, and in Mexico in the school books, we need students, we need funds, of course, because they will not work for free. So we are open to some proposal, and we can supervise that. And finally, yes, we will have some press releases in the next month as well. Thank you.